All right, so let's go. All right, here we are. We are here on Well Talk. I'm here with my very good friend, Pastor Randy. Randy, what's good? How have you been? Thanks for being on the show today. I truly appreciate it.
I'm good, man. It's good to be with you, dude. Last time we were together, we were preaching at conference together.
Yeah, Speak Conference, right?
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Yeah, definitely.
So here we are today to speak again, and thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Well, this obviously, Well Talk is a platform for all things wellness, all things lifestyle. And I know that you are big on wellness and lifestyle, and you have a lot of different things that you do on top of ministry as well. But you're a man of many talents, which in a lot of ways has been a blessing to me in my life as well and my family. And so if you could just introduce yourself, let us know, let the audience know, what you do, what you're about, and any shout outs you want to give to start out.
Ooh, it's a big question. I've been blessed, man. I've lived such a big and a full life already. And so I'm a pastor. So I pastor a church in Hemet, California called Freedom House. And we were talking earlier. I mean, we know each other's history, but I've been really blessed, man. I've been able to travel the world.
Yeah.
I've been able to start some companies. Obviously, like you said, some spiritual stuff, but also physical stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, it all, of course, blends together, just like what you do.
Yeah.
So I've been really blessed. I've owned a supplement company called Modern Body Labz. So there it is, man. I don't know. I preach, I speak. I also have trained people to compete in bodybuilding. Retired from that, and
doesn't look like it, but
yeah, but I'm still holding on. I'm holding on, guys.
Yeah.
All you old cats, I got your back. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know that, first of all, you coming all the way out here, super grateful for that. You're coming from Hemet, California, and go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
No,
all right, cool. Yeah. Shout out to Hemet, and we're recording in Pasadena, but we go way back. We've known each other now for a while, over 10 years for sure, and it's cool to chop it up and start out today with really getting. This podcast it's all things wellness, all things lifestyle, but we also talk about mental health as well. And I know you're a mental health advocate, and you definitely have a lot of things that you talk about for being able to take care of yourself. And I kind of want to just get some insights from you, even on like whether it's a mental health level or a physical health level. How do you take care of yourself?
That's another big question. I like these big questions.
Yeah.
How do I take care of myself? Something that happened to me, which was really great, was I learned a lot of, I got a lot of determination, perseverance, and endurance by going to the gym first. I was an athlete, but I wasn't a group athlete. I wasn't into team sports. I was a runner. So I was extremely skinny. I was like 145 pounds coming out of high school and into college. But I was a runner, and I was really into that. And but I got out, realized I was super skinny. I looked like Jack the Pumpkin King. I was really skinny, and I wanted to get bigger. So I started working out. And I'll be honest, dude, I hated it. It was hard. I was super skinny. I threw up a lot. I fell down in the parking lot from leg day. But there was something about just pushing through and wanting to fight through something and own something. And the gym taught me that. It taught me how to push beyond my own limitations or limitations I thought I had. It taught me that pain was good for me. I started to enjoy being sore and the pain. But the beauty of that was that started to flood into every other area of my life. So hard situations became like hard sets in the gym. Pain in life became, well, this is soreness, but I know that soreness ultimately leads to more muscle growth, more strength, more power. So taking care of myself, I think it did start there. I grew up at church, but I think for me, this was something that I chose, right? It wasn't like I just grew up in it. I went out, I made this decision, I started pushing, I started growing. And then I realized how much I could transfer that into the spiritual realm or into church or into my spiritual walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the beginning of me taking care of myself. And then I just learned from there, right? Diet and exercise and analogies, moving that into the church. Like,
Yeah.
like when you're in the gym and maybe somebody has a big amount of weight and they're benching and they need help, they need a spotter.
Mm-hmm.
They look around, they come to ask you to help. And we understand that concept in the gym, but in life, it's the same, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to be willing to look around and say, hey, this weight is too much for me. Go out and ask for help, get that spotter.
Yeah.
So it's not the gym, but it's the same exact concept. And I think that's just how I learned. That's how I began to learn how to take care of myself,
That's so good too. I love that with the spotter analogy because, we can't do it on our own, and for those who maybe are trying to, here's a rude awakening. It's not going to work out, trying to do it on your own. And we need a team, right?
Yeah.
We need people to help.
Yeah. Like even me, because I competed and I did some of that stuff. And I remember that I went out. So I was a trainer. I was a trainer for, I think, almost 30 years. 5+ certs. I was a master trainer for, what was it, LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness.
Yeah.
I trained, and then I got my own studio called Physiques, and I was training people to compete. So in my city, obviously, and in some other parts, I was considered this so-called expert, right? Like this guru. But when I competed, I went and got a trainer. I got a coach. And so people were like, what the heck are you getting a coach for? And I told them, I said, man, if I'm smart, I'm going to get a coach. Because I only see myself through one set of lenses. I only see one aspect or one perspective of myself. But if I'm smart, I'm going to get another set of eyes.
Yeah.
And it was wise, right? Because this guy's telling me stuff that I didn't want to hear. He's telling me stuff I didn't like. But when I, took that second look in the mirror, I was like, oh, shoot, the guy is right. So I think if you're smart, if you're intelligent, you realize that you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Because you only see life through one perspective. And
for sure,
that's not going to help you. You're not going to like it, but the best thing you can do is get a set of eyes around you.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that sticks with me there too that you said is, as a therapist, a lot of times people think, well, who does the therapist go to for support and help? And usually it's another therapist that a therapist is seeing as well. Like you said, you're a master trainer, but you got a trainer as well to help you, to point out things that maybe you didn't see. And I really want people to highlight that too. I have a lot of therapists and psychologists that follow as well. And sometimes you got to really say like, hey, I need to get some support from myself too. And you carrying all this weight and heavy loads of clients and stuff, and having that space where you can have people call you out too and say like, hey, what's going on here? This and that is really important.
Yeah. I mean, I was even getting a deep tissue, right? Cause working out, I go to this, call them a scraper, right?
Yeah.
They're scraping with metal tools and it hurts. But I was talking to them because they're saying like that when they work on people that work out, they tend to get sore and tight. And I said, oh, what do you do? Massage yourself? They laughed. I said, no, obviously. They said, no, I see a massage therapist every week.
Yeah.
So, it continues that no matter what you do in life, you're not meant to do it alone.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know. I even look at the Trinity and I think how interesting it is, right? That God is 3 in 1. He's relational. So I think that all things are meant to be relational and not segregated. But of course, in our lives, we want to do it on our own, or maybe we don't know how to reach out.
Yeah.
I don't know, so.
That's a good point too. That actually leads me into a segue here too, with a lot of people don't know how to reach out, or they're struggling and they feel like, even especially men, it's like, I can't reach out. I got to be strong. I can't go and ask for support or help. And you're a family man, you got a wife, you've got kids. What are some recommendations or insights you have too for maybe men out there that are struggling, that have really needed to reach out, but they're afraid or they don't know how that's going to look, you know what I mean?
I do. I always have this thing about nothing. I love being nothing
Mm.
because it's the place for your greatest miracle. Like I did that 40-day water only fast.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up doing 2 of them. But I had worked for 30 years to build this body, right? I
Mm.
worked for 30 years, gained 100 pounds of muscle. I think I was like 270, was competing 245,
Mm-hmm.
but it took me so long to build that body.
Mm.
And when I felt like I wanted to do this fast, I was called to it.
Mm-hmm.
My very first thought was, but I'm going to become nothing again.
Mm.
I had worked 28 years. I wasn't prideful or egotistical,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that my ego, my personality was so attached to this creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
This look, this be the logo. And
Shout out.
yeah, shout out.
Yeah.
I had developed something, and now it was being called into, would you be willing to give this up?
Mm.
And I was really challenged because of what we're talking about. I think the biggest fear of men today is becoming nothing.
Mm.
We don't want to be nothing. So I think that's why men are so challenged today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a culture today where we're being told men are unimportant.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, sadly, is men start to look out. Maybe they look to the wrong channels, right?
Mm.
They look to these overly toxic channels,
For
and they
sure.
start to go way overboard.
Yeah.
I think there's a beautiful middle ground.
Definitely. For sure. No, I appreciate the input and insight there. Even the middle ground you mentioned, balance, right? And a lot of times we hear, go, 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 go. And then you're like, when did you ever rest or take some time to like actually recharge and refuel, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to even hear from you too, is like all of the, hey, you just got to keep going and do this and do this and burn out and collapse and faint. And then, okay, well, what about taking care of yourself in the process too, right? I mean, there's got to be some sort of balance, right? What does that look like for you? Like even balance for you, self-care, things that you can do or that you can say that people can do that help recharge, refuel in the process, because life can be tough, right? There's stuff that happens. How do you manage it?
I I I forced. Well, the fast was a big change for me.
Mm.
So when I did that first fast, I mean, obviously, water only fast, right? I mean, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I sat at home.
uh
So not only was I going through a massive spiritual thing, I was going through a massive physical thing, but I was also just going through a restful place, right? I mean,
mm.
I'm sitting there all day. I'm not doing anything.
Mm.
And I think as I sat there and relaxed and forced myself to stop, because one, I had been beating myself up physically for decades,
Yeah.
bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but I was a pastor,
Yeah.
traveling and preaching. You've been in ministry. It's not easy.
Right.
People are always needing your time and attention.
Yeah.
It got to a point where at the gym, I either had a line of people wanting to talk to me about working out,
Mm-hmm.
or I had a line of people wanting to talk to me about church stuff. And I'm like, man, I just really want to work out.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
like I had no rest. So in that time, I think I learned that it's okay to pull away. Right? It's like, I look to like, Jesus in the Bible. He would oftentimes, it says, he would run away, right?
Yeah.
Just to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have to be willing to recharge. A beautiful thing for me was being okay with not always answering the phone.
Mm.
Not always being someone's answer.
Yeah. That's good.
I want to lift people up. I want to help people, but
Yeah.
I had to realize that I'm not their savior.
Yeah.
And as an example, I can't help everyone. I can't heal everyone. I can't be there for everyone all the time. And if I'm not recharged, if I'm not well,
Mm-hmm.
then I have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Like I came out of that 40 days and it was like it's crazy. I was like just light into all these people's lives, you know, and I realized it was because I took that time. So now what I do is I just fight for it. You know, I fight for little things. I fight for Mondays, like Monday's my day off.
I like it.
Sunday.
Love it. Yeah.
I fight for it. Monday's my day off. And I tell my leaders, say, hey, like you guys could turn your phones off the rest of the week, but keep them on Monday.
Yeah.
You know, give me that time. And my men, I have some men, a group of men.
That's good.
That help me. So they bless me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to be available on certain days. I let them know they're available.
Yeah.
You know, I fight for it. I fight for time. I fight for rest.
I like the phrase you're using too. You fight for it. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off, but I like that.
Yeah, you have to fight for it.
Yeah,
because life is not going to give it to you.
Yeah, that's so true. Facts. Yep, facts.
Yeah, you have to fight. It's a fight.
Yeah,
it's definitely a fight, and it's one I'm willing to make.
The fight that you do in order to keep the rest, the days set aside so that you can have those times of recharge, refuel. And I think that's so important. I love what you said, what you highlighted. I think that's something to run with for yourself too, that you fight for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And even going back to what you said when, you know, you've had times where it's like, well, I'm going back to nothing. You know, what's that look like? What does that do in the long run? Like moving forward, you know, what's the outcome?
Yeah, well, it's like I was saying, you know, I think most men, I was definitely afraid of being nothing, afraid of losing my persona, my ego, what I had created. You know, everywhere I went, people called me the logo, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to walk in there now and they're going to be like, nobody's going to even know who I am, right? My fastest, so you know, it took me from around 245 to about 165 pounds. So
wow,
I lost over 75 pounds in that fast.
Yeah.
And I was deathly afraid of it. But if I could maybe try to explain it like this, why that was so important and so good and so healthy, and why I would want to encourage you to fight to become nothing. So I'll use this analogy. Francis Chan, he's a preacher, but he had said something interesting one time. He said, imagine that you wake up on an island and you have full amnesia and you have no memory of anything you've ever been taught ever about anything. He says, but you find this book and it says Bible on it. And he says, and you read it from cover to cover because you don't know anything, and here's some information and you read it. He says this challenging question. He says, would you believe everything you believe now all over again? And I think some people would just immediately go, oh, of course I would. Yeah. Of course I would. But that's based on framework and dogmas and doctrines and perceptions and lenses, essentially like framing a house. You've been framed, right? Yeah. You've been framed. Right?
You've been framed. We've
all been framed. Whatever you believe about anything, you've been framed. And so there's this framework that we all build off of. And so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, based on all this framework, this is life, this is reality, this is who I am. All of my perceptions are true and real. All my offenses, all my hurts, all my everything is real. And in that fast, that's what happened. It's like I woke up on an island by the end of it and didn't know anything. Just as an analogy. It's like, it's like I was an onion that God put in a chair, because I sat in a chair in my backyard for 40 days. And it's like he just peeled layers of me, right? And so initially, right, it hurts. It's not easy. It's not good. You know, not just the scale, not just losing the weight. He was revealing things to me about me. You know, things I didn't want to accept about myself, perceptions that I had because of maybe things my parents did, right? And something I learned in that fast is this, you know, about my parents, and maybe you can have some grace for your parents, is as much as my parents were watching me grow up, I realized that I was watching my parents grow up too, that whole time. You know, I went back, I was able to see things from different avenues in that fast, and I saw myself as a young parent making stupid choices. And my kids might grow up one day and be like, oh, my parents messed me up. It's like, well, I didn't know I was growing up too. And so in that process, all the framework God was just taking down, even things I believed about Him, you know. And so at the end of it, I'm this peeled onion. I'm nothing. I'm dust. I'm sitting there. My framework is gone. And you can think, well, why is that good? Well, because now God can rebuild me, right? He can make me into something new. The sound of heaven can come in again and speak new words of creation. And that's what happened. All of my dogmas, even my doctrines, my belief systems, they were all challenged. And I just allowed myself to re-look into everything. And as I learned and grew, I realized so many things that I was wrong about. And, you know, we all want to be right about everything. But I learned that I wasn't right about everything. And that was the healthiest thing that could ever happen to me.
Wow.
Because now, you know, when you're right about everything, or you're not willing to change, it's like you have this closed fist, right? This is who I am.
Yeah.
But then somebody tries to put something in your hand and you can't receive it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't take new knowledge. I can't get a new perception. No, I know that I know that I know.
Yeah.
And in that fast, I think God peeled my finger open, you know.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, yes, I'm nothing. But now he could put things in my hand, and I could receive them, and I could learn. And I think it's given me a massive empathy for people. You know, I want my life to be a stage that other people get to dance upon. I always said this. I came out of my fast and said, I want my nothingness to be your fullness, right? Like, I want my nothingness to be my children's fullness. I want to fill people.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like to be empty. And being filled back up. It's like, man, how can I now go out and take what I've learned and give it to someone else? But I would never have got there if I wasn't willing to become nothing, because it's only in nothing that then something can be created, right? You know, it's interesting when you know, for Genesis, when God created the world, you know, it says that He spoke it all into existence, right? There was nothing there. So it's interesting, you know, we want to be something. But if you take something to God, He can't use it. He's not looking for that. And I think we're afraid to come and say, I've got nothing to offer. But when we come to God and say, but I have nothing to offer, He takes it from you and goes, man, how cool is this? Because this is exactly what I used in the first place to create everything.
That's so good.
You're bringing me my favorite ingredient for a miracle.
Yeah.
So instead of being afraid to be nothing, I really challenge you, fight to become nothing. And watch what happens, because, right, it even says, right, and we can see this to be true in life, just in life. The humble get exalted and the prideful get humbled. Yeah. And I think becoming nothing is that I am willing to be nothing. And so then God, the sound of heaven, can come and say, well, now that you're nothing, and now there's life.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so good. And I love the fighting for that, but even saying to yourself that sometimes saying, hey, God, I don't have anything. What do I do? And like you said, it's like God's like, that's my favorite ingredient. Like, I can do so much with that. That's what I want. You know, that's what I want you to do, is come and humble yourself, right? And we even when we talk about casting all our cares to Him because He cares for us, you know, it first says humble yourself. You know, it's like, hey, acknowledging what? Like, I can't do this on my own. Yeah. And I want to encourage listeners as well. That's why we're even saying, you know, whether it's something that you feel like you've been prideful about and you've been like, I don't need anybody in life, whether if that was because you were raised that way or you just learned that in growing up, or you have this bitterness and resentment. I like the closed fist that you brought, you know, and just holding on to those things. I want to say open up. And that's where I also tell people it's okay to open up. Yeah. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite things to do, man. Like, I'll have a guy come and sit in my office, and I can tell he wants to kind of confess something, whatever it is, some truth. secret truth about himself.
Yeah.
And I can feel it because I feel he asked to meet with me.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they're trying to find the words. They're kind of stumbling. They're not speaking. You're like, go ahead, bro. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And I realize, and I'll just say to him, I say, look, you need to know, man, what God has taken me through since these fasts, since everything, I'm like, there's nothing you can say to me that's going to change my opinion of you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you're going to tell me right now that I'm not going to love you. I'm not going to be here for you. You know, and I just encourage them and say, just let it out, man. Just let it out. And it's amazing to me because I've only had one time in 20 years that I said, okay, I haven't dealt with that. But the other thousands of times, I will tell you that when they say it, it's almost like I chuckle inside, not because I'm laughing at them, but because I chuckle at the time when I was afraid to say that to someone.
Yeah.
And now they're saying it to me, and I'm sitting here thinking, bro, but I struggle with that. I still struggle with that.
For sure.
That might still be a struggle.
Yeah.
Or I overcame that, but man, that's not easy. And so I think when you allow people to be that real with you and you receive it and you humble yourself not to act like you don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty, where then all of a sudden they realize, it's like what Paul said in the scriptures, right? That there is nothing that is not common to man. But we believe the lie that we're the only ones.
Yeah.
I'm the only one messed up. You know, and we go on social media, talk about mental health. We go on social media and we believe that everybody else has a better life than us.
Yeah.
But they're showing us the highlights.
It's true.
They're not showing us the lowlights.
Yeah.
You know, we don't say, oh, look at my flat tire. Look, my meal was terrible. Like,
yeah.
It's all the good stuff. It's when we're on vacation. It's when we got the new shirt and the nice shoes. You know, that's what we post.
Yeah.
And so we become so mentally unhealthy. And so we're afraid to sit with someone like a professional and say, hey, Matt, like I've got some things going on.
Yeah.
But I think when we can sit there, you know, this is what a real man, like not toxic, real man will sit with a man and say, hey, bro, open up, because I promise I've probably been there.
That's good.
And when they're allowed to do that, man, that beauty that begins to flow out and the encouragement, you know, and even in the one, I'll tell you, even the one where I could say, wow, I've never dealt with that. I think knowing that I was available enough for this man to trust me with that one, like, that's what got to me. That's what got to me, that I was like, okay, God, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be that safe place for men to come to and tell me things they wouldn't tell themselves. Because I think that's a real reflection. That's a real reflection of, I think someone that has some real understanding and some real humility, you know?
For sure. I love that you pointed that out too. The saying that person trusted you enough to come and be in that space with you, where you were inviting enough and you were safe enough for them to do that. And I think that's what makes be either counseling or therapy, things like that, so special. And, you know, pastors, they counsel so much, like so much. That's one of the like biggest parts of the job, you know? And even for myself, with being able to sit with people and hear things that maybe they've never told anybody before, and maybe they have never really even addressed it, and then to come and have them share, it's a cool thing to not only experience. But I think when you said that too, that, you know, real men open up and share what's going on and reach out and say, I need some help, you know? It's huge.
I mean, you can get crazy. You can go, I mean, think about the Spartans, right? I mean, they had that great shield system, right? Where they would all become like this turtle shell.
Yeah.
But if a guy wasn't willing to reach out, you know, it's like, it's the same analogy. It's like, you have so much more wisdom. You know, the Bible says what? There's wisdom in the presence of many counselors.
Yeah.
You know, if you could get men around you that have this concept, strength, right? The shield that you guys become together.
Yeah.
And but that's why the world works so much to divide everything,
Exactly.
into all these different banners. Because
yeah.
if we can get you under this banner, you under this banner, you under this banner, everybody's fighting.
Yeah.
When you can sit there and say, hey man, I don't want a bunch of banners. I want one banner.
Yeah.
And let's sit here and talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you provide life. You provide life to these guys. And
for sure. I definitely want to ask too, with what you're doing and things coming up. I know you got some stuff coming up, some things coming on that are new and exciting ventures and journeys. So I want to give you the opportunity too to shout that out. What's going on? What's up?
Yeah, so you guys know I do pastor and I speak at conferences, and I was thinking about wanting to expand just my reach,
Mm-hmm.
and not just my reach, but how I kind of get out there and intermingle with society, community, and so I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Be the Logo Show.
Okay.
So Be the Logo.
Yeah.
And that comes from this real quick, because I think it still kind of comes back to everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where, how did I get Be the Logo? I owned a supplement company called Modern Body Labz,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have a logo. And I was at a show and I had all my bottles out there, and this man comes up and he says, hey bro, like, where's your logo? And his wife is standing there, and I said, hey, I picked the bottle up and it just came out in the moment. And I said, I don't have a logo, bro, because I want you to be the logo. And immediately I saw something spark in his eyes, and he looked at his wife and he said, you hear that, baby? Like, he wants me to be the logo.
Yeah.
And so from that moment, I thought, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that just lifts people up. You be the logo, you are the logo. And so I ran a contest called Be the Logo, and people sent in stuff. And what I did was I wasn't picking athletes and competitors.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to look at their life inside and outside the gym.
Mm.
And so I had these people that would win, and not your everyday looking athlete, soccer moms,
Uh-huh.
and I started putting them on the bottle. If they won, like, hey, they're the logo for this.
That is so cool.
Next batch.
Yeah.
So I ran into that, and I really like that, because even that goes back to men and not wanting to be nothing. And I think when you provide people a place to become something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I want to do with my channel. I want to be an open forum for all kinds of dialect, conversation, play the devil's advocate, have people on there maybe I completely disagree with.
Yeah.
But I think that if you have truth, you don't have to be afraid to talk about stuff.
That's good.
And, I think you sit there and you have great conversations and be able to pull people into maybe some things they never would have found or never listened to.
Yeah.
Maybe that leads to other things. And so I'm very excited about it. But Be the Logo Show. And I'm actually probably going to release my most famous product. So if you're watching this and I just have to say Uncle Ross, you probably screamed, because it's been like 4 years since I've produced, and I still get orders and emails for that one product.
Oh, wow.
So I know it's going to be fun, but I'm going to release that on the channel.
Cool.
That's what's coming up, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Be the Logo. I'm excited for that. When you announced just the name, I was like, that's fire. You just know when and something hits. And so that's going to be so dope. I'm excited for that and that venture and journey you're going to go into. And I know that's just going to be an awesome platform for so many different things. So that's cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, a kaleidoscope of thought. And I just think it's going to be beautiful, man. Let people talk, let people come, And one, too, is, you can't really learn about people until you hear from people.
It's true.
I think, that's a mental wellness thing, too, right?
Yeah.
Because most people only listen to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the kind of channel I want to be is I don't want to come across as if I have the answer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I might not have the answer, but I don't want to come across as if I have the answer.
Yeah.
I want to hear from people too, because I want to know what's out there.
Right.
I don't want to listen to social media necessarily. I don't want to listen to the news. I want to be able to get a feel for what's really going on with people and their hearts and their minds, and what are their challenges, and pull that into the show so that so that I can become the logo, right? Like I can figure out ways to help people. And it might not be traditional. It might not look like how people expect it to come out.
Yeah.
But I do believe that I have a strategy. You know, I call it the sound of heaven.
Cool.
And it's going to be fun, man.
I love it. I love it. Anything else too, like that you want to share, just even in closing, and just giving anybody advice, insights, just anything else? I know you got your Instagram as well.
Yeah. So G2, it's G220, be the logo. G220 is for Galatians 2:20.
Cool.
It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me.
Yeah.
I got that from, I was, so if you ever find my bottles, if you look up Modern Body Labz,
yeah,
I was on the bottle.
Okay.
I'm hunched over, my big old shoulders. So I was the logo. And, I was on the bottle, and after my fast, I actually stripped myself from the bottles, and I just had different artwork done. I think that what God showed me was it's funny is I took a bottle after that fast and I ripped the label off because I was getting myself off the table, and it was a moment. I took the bottle and I dumped it out into the trash can. And I'm holding this empty blank bottle, and I really felt the sound of heaven, man, say, now we can do something.
Ooh.
Now we're here. Now we can build. And I think if I can encourage you is we keep using the word fight, is I would fight to get to that place somehow. Fight to get to that place. That's the place of growth. That's the place of health. Rebuilding all of those thoughts and ideas that maybe have twisted you up for so long. I don't know. That's a big piece of advice that I want to give you.
I think just being there in that space where you can reflect and say, like, hey, took it all down, and now I'm in a space where I'm saying, God, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Just different, making something and taking something from nothing and making it into something. I love that. And first off, I just want to say, I appreciate you, appreciate your friendship, appreciate you coming out here to be on the podcast. And yeah, man, let's continue to collaborate and move forward. And shout out to Randy and all that he does. I mean, this guy's talented in so many different areas. So yeah,
I have an interesting life, man. God's been really good to me.
Yeah,
he really has. And I've been a knucklehead, but God's grace has carried me. And,
we all have, at some point.
It's carnage. I just found this new pastor. I can't think of his last name right now, but he wrote a book. You look it up. It's a book called Carnage and Grace. And I think I've been through a lot of carnage, but grace has carried me through. And I love that title. It's his book. You can look up that book, Carnage and Grace.
Cool.
But yeah, man, it's been carnage and grace. I'm excited. And I got to have you on Be the Logo podcast when I'm up.
Yeah, dude. Let me know.
Take care of it.
Make it happen. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Appreciate you all. And Randy will be back. We're going to have you back once we get some more, things established. I want to get some insights and updates too on what's going on. So yeah.
It's the beginning, man.
Yeah. All right. Love y'all. We'll see you all and talk to y'all next week. Thank you.
Be the Logo.
There you go.